Welcome to Martial Mentality. I'm your host, Delmar Minor, and today I have with me Coach Michael Beato and Sifu Trevor Taylor. Please like, share, and subscribe on YouTube at the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or all social media platforms. Well, not all quite yet. We're getting there. But either way, find us on Facebook, find us on YouTube. Please like us. And we are recording here in beautiful Rock Hill, South Carolina at the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu. Oh, Coach, you got something you want to say?
Nothing good.
Nothing good. Coach is not a fan of the Carolinas right now. Coach, why are you not a fan of the Carolinas? Go ahead. Tell us why.
Ever since I was a kid, I just wanted to live in California. Used to cry to my uncle, please let me come. He said, nah, you get into too many fights, you're going to get shot. There's all gangs out here. I was like, I promise I'll be good. My mom died in 2015 or 2014. Packed up my car, drove across the country, lived in my car in Venice for a year. Met Jesse Martinez, he's like one of the best skaters out of Dogtown. His best friend was Jay Adams, who was the catalyst of skateboarding. We were bombing down a mountain and 6 motorcycle dudes cut us off, and I rolled up on 6 motorcycle dudes. I was smacking them in the face, and Jesse's like, I never seen anybody walk up on 6 dudes and start swinging. I said, welcome to New York. He gave me a place to live. He got me a job. I got into a dope punk band, got to open up for Suicidal Tendencies and headline the Whiskey and play a bunch of cool shows in LA, East LA, Vegas, living the California dream, skating mountains till the sun went down, just watching the sunset on the beach in Malibu. And the girl I was with when I had my daughter goes, we should move to North Carolina. And I was like, why the would I ever move to North Carolina? And I moved here and she's gone and I hate this place, and I hope it all burns down. And it's not like I'm like, oh, California's so great, but it was great for me because I skate the mountains. I had the mountains. I skated Tuna Canyon, and Seal would hang out and talk to me. I go to the skate shop, Rip City.
The singer Seal.
The singer, Kiss from a Rose. He was like my homie.
Okay.
I seen him. I remember I was in Inglewood. I worked in Inglewood, and the song comes on, and I'm like, Kiss from, popping my fist in the air, and I'm like, I love this song. I'm like, I love this guy. He's my homie. And he rides past me, and I was like, dude, listening to the song, and I was like, I love this guy. He's like, I love you too, brother. He's like, he's just a cool guy. Got to meet Jack Black, the bass player from Metallica, would help me set up and break down my gear. He's been my idol since I'm 19. Played in Suicidal Tendencies, my favorite band.
So, Coach, you kind of told us a little bit about yourself. So, from a martial arts standpoint, can you tell us a little bit about your martial arts career? Tell us more about you. Let's let our YouTube fans out here know about Coach Michael Beato and what you do.
I started training when I was like 10. So Shotokan karate, and just ended up finding Kung Fu, and that's where I wanted to be. I remember doing karate. I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And there was this, Sifu Ortiz, right?
Of course.
And it's crazy that I even remember this kid's name because I must have been 18 when I met him. And his name was Pete Ingwa, and he did Mantis. I'm trying to do my karate, and he's like, with his little mantis claws, and like hit me, and I was like, how is he so fast? And I was like, he's like, Kung Fu, homie, Kung Fu, praying mantis. And I was like, all right. And then I found a Hunga school and trained with Sifu Manganello, rest in peace. Sifu Kellerman helped me out. Then I ended up finding the Chantai San school and trained with, Perella and Caparos and Dave Ross and Stephen Chura and Stephen Achenzi. And then I would go to the city and they would have all these guys, and I got to learn lion dancing from Sifu Manganello, and then continued it with these guys who was friends with Sifu Chan, who were like the top dancers in the Canton province. And I ended up getting into kickboxing. This guy opened a gym right down the block from my father's shop, pro fighter out of Gleason's, pro kickboxer. He's on the cover of Modern Arnis, Coach Andrew Filardo. And he's just like, and once I trained with him, it's just like, it just all took off. It all made sense, because now you're fighting every day. You're just in the ring fighting every day. So all I did was just fight. That's all I cared about. And I ended up teaching some guys, and I taught my little sister Raquel, and now she has a gym with her husband somewhere in Brooklyn. Like, I forgot his name. He's tall. I can't remember his name. Just totally like fell out of my brain. I think it's like Ben's, like the Ben's Karate School. She's doing that.
Okay.
I can't remember his name. I'll remember it after I leave.
Watch, it'll come back to
But
you.
he's a good, and they have this gym that they're working, and I taught a bunch of guys, and it was fun. It was fun to train and teach. But then I moved to California, and had a couple people, but I did it. I grew up in a place where it was very violent, and if you didn't know how to fight, you weren't gonna make it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that's why I did it. That's why I trained, and I got to the point like where, I did it every day. It wasn't a hobby. It was, I used to walk 2 miles from my college to my Kung Fu school and then hitchhike home. And like I said before, I had to walk halfway home once. It was a 6-hour walk before I even got halfway home. So it was, I put a lot of dedication into it because it was something I really wanted. Did the same thing with my music and my skateboarding. I'm not going to be like, oh man, I really want to suck at this. If I do something, I want to be awesome at it.
It'll be good.
I look at the guys, if it's a bass player, I look at like Robert Trujillo. I look at John Paul Jones. If it's skaters, I look at Jay Adams. I look at Jesse Martinez and Shogo Kubo. Those are the guys to me that I look up to. Tony Hawk is dope. But it's all about style to me. I got to work at Dogtown right before COVID. Jim Muir is Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies' brother. It was cool as hell.
You know what, Mike, we're going to have you back for another podcast so we can just get your life story because YouTube land, I'm telling you, Mike is very interesting. Coach Mike is awesome.
Interesting guy. Got some really cool stories.
So today we're going to go straight to our topic, and I'm going to start out with you, Trevor. So our topic today is martial arts and mental health.
Okay.
So, Trevor, first question. Do you think there's a correlation between martial arts and mental health?
Yes, I think it can improve someone's mental health just by the simple fact of, you look at studies and stuff like that. It shows that exercise improves your mental health. It gets you out of your head. It's something that Joe often says, get out of your head and into your body.
Yes. Yeah, I like that quote. So Coach, same question to you. Do you think martial arts helps mental health?
Any exercise will help your mental health because your body releases endorphins, which can help change your mood. But, I just looked at it like I just get to hit stuff.
Well, for me, definitely, I've talked about this on previous podcasts. So I work with people with disabilities and special needs. So I'm always working with the public. And that job can be very stressful. People cussing at you, people getting mad at you.
Your job, not this job.
This is my job. Yeah, this is my fun job.
Right.
I don't even consider this a job, honestly. This is more like a hobby, man. This is where I come play. It's like a playground.
My coach would always be like, this is our gym. This is our hangout. This is our clubhouse.
That's kind of what it feels like,
Yeah.
Like when we're in here training and stuff, like I don't feel like I have to go to work. It's just like, oh, I'm going to hang out,
Yeah.
So, I guess, to answer the question, it does help my mental health because if I didn't have this, I don't know where I would be mentally because it can be really tough when somebody's attacking you. When I say attacking you, verbally attacking you. And I've had to deal with people physically attacking me too in my job. But, you have to make sure that you stay calm, cool, and collected. Otherwise, that person is going to take control of you. I guess it's the best way to describe it. Yeah, they win. That's the best way to describe it. So for me, this has definitely helped me gain better mental health and keep good mental health because your mental health can deteriorate at any time, obviously. God forbid, those people in Asheville right now, you think about what's happening there. How do you get past that, that tragedy of Hurricane Helene? What do you do to help those people? Because their mental health is going to be, devastated for a while. They lost homes, family members. That's just, anyway, prayers out to them. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about, you've already told us about your background, but have you ever had any struggles with mental health?
What do you mean?
Just in general, have you ever had any struggles with mental health? And,
Yeah. I grew up getting punched in the face every day, told them piece of shit. Of course you have a problem with mental health and you go out and you beat up people. And if you got no one to beat up, you beat up yourself. That's what happens.
So growing up in that type of environment, how did you feel? Like what was going through your mind, because you said you started Kung Fu and you started martial arts to be able to defend yourself because you were in a very violent society situation out where you were. House.
It was a violent house. I wasn't scared of anyone. I was scared to go home.
Gotcha.
That was hard.
And martial arts helped you get through that.
My karate teacher was like my dad. He was cool. And like, I kind of outgrew the karate, and I found Hanga, and doing really good at it. And this guy felt kind of centered. And then my grandfather passed away, and I got into a fight with some guy, and I dragged him out of the car, and I started closing his head in the door. And I told my teacher, and he said, "Yeah, I can't have you in my school."
Oh, wow.
He threw me out.
Wow.
And then I found Sifu Chan, and Gus became like my big brother. He looked after me and really kind of took me under his wing and helped me out. And Mike Beato was a good teacher. He was a good guy. They all. I told Mike about some advice he gave me once, and he was probably like 25. I was like 20, and he goes, "Oh, I got to hear this gem of advice I gave you when I was 25." It's just funny though, when you're 25, you don't realize when you get older you get smarter. But they were good dudes, man. They really kind of just helped me out and kept me away from all that. And then when I found my coach was on a whole nother level of crazy. I walked into the gym, stretching out, and I hear, "You think you're a bad? Put the gloves on, I'll kill you. Well, step in the street." I'm like stretching out. I was like, what the hell am I getting into with this place, bro? And he just turned out to be like, I seen him the other day. He has 30% use of his kidneys. And I said, "If you need a kidney, call me and I'll test." Didn't even think about it. And he looked like he was so blown away. And he was like, Gerard calls me all the time. He tells me all this crazy shit. I don't even know why he tells me. He thinks I'm his father or something. I said, "Well, you were a better father to all of us than our parents were to any of us."
Wow. That's deep. Trevor, what about you? Any struggles with mental health that you've had that maybe martial arts has helped you with?
I feel like I found where I belonged when I found martial arts. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, and I found kind of like the family I'd been looking for with this.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what a lot of people, it's interesting you talked about your Sifus and your coaches being like father figures. And I think for a lot of people, yeah, they may come looking for martial arts, but they end up finding a family a lot of times. And I mean, even you came by, was it last year? I think it was last year. I don't remember. Either way, you came by, you stopped by, you're like, "Hey, my name's Mike." And I'm just like, "What's up, Mike?" And then next thing you know, it's just like, boom, bros. You know what I mean? Like, how many times can you train in a martial art and it just kind of be like that, where you just meet people and be like,
It's like
"Oh,
Step
man, we're
Brothers.
cool." Yeah,
Yeah.
like, "Oh, man."
It's like,
Do you want to go do karate in the garage?
yup.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's so cool because, I'm not saying other martial arts do it, because they do, but like, I don't know, it's just something different about Kung Fu. Kung Fu is a brotherhood. I think so.
Sometimes.
And you do have
There's
your
a-
bad apples.
I was lucky. Like, I met people like C. Joe Creighton.
Yeah,
And
I've
his-
heard of him.
And he's
I hear great stories about
He was your
C. Joe
stepdad
George.
or something like that,
he
right?
was like, he would always introduce me as his son. "This is one of my sons. This is one of my sons." And all his friends were like these, like, I don't know, like, they just were like super. I always felt like I was like a, I don't want to sound disrespectful. It's like, they're just like old school black dudes, kind of like Black Panther-y. I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm overreaching, but
Wakanda forever.
but they were like, they would be like, "He's a skinhead, right?" And he's like, "No, he's my son." You know what I'm saying? Like he never. People think like if you have a bald head, you're a Nazi skinhead. There's a whole like DMS, Doc Martin skins. That's all the blue collars. Doesn't matter if you're black or Chinese or Jewish or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And we come together for the music. You have bands like Agnostic Front, Sick of It All, and the Gorilla Biscuits. You know what I'm saying? So a skin doesn't always mean like, "Oh, well, we can't be friends because your skin's the wrong color." We all homies.
Right.
We're all brothers. We're all family. And that's how it is. It's just different. And people, and he never looked down on me. He always had my back. When I got hemmed up, some girl attacked me in LA, and she lied. And of course, like, she's a girl, so I'm covered in tattoos, and I'm the bad guy. And the DA just kept saying, "Well, look at him. look at him. Like, of course I have tattoos and I hate black people and I beat women, you know, and it's like,
You were judged by your appearance.
and I would call Cjo every day, man. He would just talk me off the ledge. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I called my training brother Ivan all the time. It's going to be okay. It's going to be, they're sending me like St. Christopher's medals and they're like, just pray. And I'm like, oh God, he don't see me. He don't see me, you know, and I was so angry. And then I got out of it and it just kind of changed my whole life. And it's like, you know, Cjo really, he always came in a clutch. He always, no matter how crazy I got, he would just listen and he would never judge me and he never turned me away. Every time I went to go see him, I always got a hug, always got a lot of love out of that guy.
And, you know, hearing your stories, that just goes to show you what a true Sifu should be, a true martial arts instructor. You know, I mean, yeah, those guys are amazing fighters. They have amazing martial arts abilities, but he did more for you on, I mean, he was like your dad. He was your dad. You know what I mean? Like, that's your father. And you respect that man like your father. He was there for you. And so, you know, and unfortunately, you, like anything, we've talked about this before on our What is a Sifu episode. You know, you can have a good dad and you can have a bad dad. But thankfully, you've had a lot of good male influences in your life, especially on the martial arts side.
I've been lucky, you know. I just training with, even if I just train with Sifu Chan alone, that it was cool as hell. It was like a kung fu movie. Training on a rooftop in Brooklyn.
That's cool, man.
Moving, you turn around, there's a guy with a spear, there's a guy doing drunken. The old man's got the tiger fork, he's holding, he's like, yeah. He's like, you know, he's like yelling at people, you know, he says, he would always be like, you know, pissed, like it's a terrible word. So, you know, he was so funny. He almost got me arrested once.
Okay, save that story.
Okay.
Save that story, because I actually want to hear this towards the end of the podcast.
It's hysterical.
I want to hear this. So, Trevor, did you start martial arts for any mental health reasons?
No, I was a smaller kid growing up, and I always wanted to do martial arts. So when I got the opportunity to do it, my parents were like, well, do you want to do this? I was like, yeah. And that, you know, also with me being the smaller kid, I think they were probably afraid I might get picked on, stuff like that.
What about you?
What about me? What?
Any start martial arts for any mental health reasons?
I started because I was getting beat up every day in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I took karate to learn to defend myself from the people in my house.
Gotcha.
Now, I would never hit my father. Just get that clear, or my mother. But, you know, my brother, I didn't really care too much about that guy. I never, you don't hit your parents, no matter how wrong you might think they are. You never hit your parents.
Right. For me, I didn't necessarily start martial arts for mental health reasons, but I mean, I guess I didn't realize how angry I was. You know, being a kid, different. I like nerdy stuff, anime, and I mean, I got my anime characters. I don't know if you can see them in here, but you know, I like stuff like that. And for me, it was always really hard trying to fit in because I was different. You know, now like anime and stuff like that stuff's cool. You know, people like that stuff. It's become pop culture. But back then it was like, you nerd, you this, that, and the third. And so, you know, people would, you know, pick on me about that stuff. And I think martial arts, while I didn't come for mental health reasons, what it did for me was really teach me how to be okay with being myself and let me know that it's okay to be different. And then, you know, it helped me find people that were accepting of me. And, you know, without that, I think I don't know where I would be today. So anybody out there, listen, if you're struggling with your mental health, if you're struggling with any kind of anxiety, depression, things like that, martial arts can definitely help you. We are, you know, examples of how this has helped us become better people. And now we're trying to share that out with other people who we teach, people we coach. You know, we want to make sure that we, you know, push this forward because at the end of the day, you know, we should be trying to affect our world in a positive way. And I definitely believe and know that the martial arts can do that. So guys, anything else that we can think of before we wrap up to our commercial break real quick?
As far as what?
Anything. The floor is open. You want to tell your story before?
Don't
real
do
quick?
drugs.
Don't do, okay.
It's for losers.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. Okay.
I've been sober my whole life.
Okay.
I never did nothing. I was straight edge before there was straight edge.
I'm going to plead the fifth on camera. No comments.
I just started training when I was 10. I just figured that, all my friends used to make fun of me. Oh, you're a loser. You don't come to the party and get drunk. And it's like, oh, I'm going to go practice my karate.
I was that guy in college. So when I was in college, I remember people would follow, like, they only knew me because they were like, hey, that's the guy in the karate gi. Because I was always going to practice. That's what I did,
I just wore overalls, combat boots, and a wife beater. And I'd have a big hoodie over my overalls so I didn't look like a hillbilly because overalls are really good. You could rip any kick in overalls.
Well, that's a Carolina thing, man. That's a country thing.
That's a New York thing, homie.
Okay, got you. All right. New York.
But
Trev, anything else before we go to commercial break?
you want that quick Sifu Chan story?
Yeah, give it to me. Give it to me.
So I go pick up Sifu Chan in Brooklyn. We used to bring him back Fridays to the school. So I went to go pick him up. My friend gave me this car. We drove off the I-95 a mile south of the border. So the whole car was like foobarred. But he's like, here, just take the car. So you have a car.
Uh-huh.
No one would inspect the car. And my instructor, Guz, goes, go pick up Sifu Chan from Brooklyn. And I was like, okay. So I drove out to Brooklyn. I pick up Sifu Chan. Sifu Chan put on a seatbelt. Mo, 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 mo. I was like, but it's the boss, Sifu. Mo, 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 mo. I go, okay. Not going to argue with him. Guy's been through like a bunch of wars. He got blown up. Who am I? Guess he doesn't think my driving will kill him. Gets him probably about 3 blocks from the school. We get lit up. Cop's like, I need to check your insurance. I say, yeah, here you go. This car's legal. I said, no one's inspecting. I got like just a couple days. I had to go pick up my teacher in Brooklyn. He looks at the old man and he goes, he should be wearing a seatbelt, right? I said, well, I told him to put a seatbelt on. He's been through a bunch of wars. I guess he's not really tripping on my driving. And he comes back, says, right, you're good. And he looks in the car and he's like, hey, old timer, you should be wearing your seatbelt, right? I'm not even kidding around. The old man sitting there. He takes a drag off his cigarette. He blows the smoke out the window and just dead eyes the cop. And he goes, you policia. and I'm just looking forward with my hands going. And the guy goes, what did he just say? I said, do I look like I speak Chinese? This dude talks all day in Chinese. I just smile and shake my head. And he goes, whatever. And he like walked away. We drive where I was like, Sifu was like, you policia. And I was like, oh my God, dude. We almost went, the guy was ready to, he was so mad. But Sifu Chan was fun to be around. He was always, he was a trip, dude. Like some guy came to our gym and started trying to mess with me. We got into a fight and he took me down and I was like, yo, get off me. And ended up, he put his, I said, yo, I don't floor fight, bro, so stand up. And he buried my face into his side. And I'm really claustrophobic. So I just bit him out of reaction. And he jumped up. He's like, you kidding me? And he goes to hit me. And I step back and I come with a little boom. And you see it like on his head. And I'm coming up with a pow choy. And Gus like dives in between us like in the movies. And Sifu Chan's on the side going, Ho Dai Gung Fu, Sai Mai Kwa, Ho Dai Gung Fu. And he's like, oh, like, and Sifu Gus is like, get him out. Like trying to get the old man out of the thing. And the old man's like cursing out the other dude. Like, yeah, look what you get. It was pretty funny. Sifu Chan was a trip. He always had my back. He always liked me. He would always say like I was crazy. He's like, oh,
I would always hear stories about Sifu Chan, rest his soul. But, I always heard that his skill was just amazing and said he was just an overall good guy and just that his Kung Fu was legit. Like
I was very lucky.
Really could fight with his martial arts. Like they would tell stories about how just ruthless he was, man. They say that guy was ruthless. So, and I believe it because I see the pictures, I see his students. I mean, the fighting skills are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was very lucky.
So guys, we're gonna go to commercial break. We'll be right back. We got to pay the bills. All right, everybody. If you're a music enthusiast, if you've ever wanted to learn how to play guitar, then I got the instructor for you. Those of you who watch this podcast have seen our boy Joseph Blackwater. Not only is he on the podcast, he also produces, he edits, he does all the music. The guy's multi-talented. He is now doing music lessons for those who want to learn guitar. And if you're interested, you can find him at joeb1917@hotmail.com. Phone number is 803-630-7382. And I just want to let you guys know that if you truly, truly want to learn how to play, the guy's got skills. Obviously you watch our podcast, you hear the beats. He creates all of that. And you can actually find him on YouTube as well. You can go into Joe B Productions. Go like, share, and subscribe. You won't be disappointed. So check my boy out. And if you want to learn how to play, Joe B is your man. And we're back. So, Trevor, how has martial arts affected you mentally?
I mean, it kind of gives me something to use when I might be having a bad day, just to get out of my head and be able just to focus on something that I like doing and do that, and I can, break out a good sweat and hang out with all my friends and stuff and just be myself and ain't got to worry about what's going on at work, what's going on at home, etc.
Would you say that this is a good stress reliever for you?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
So
Most definitely.
what is your favorite aspect of training that I guess provides the best stress release for you? Is it just martial arts in general? Do you like doing form? Do you like sparring? You like pad work?
All of it.
All of it? Okay. What about you, Coach?
I think it's all awesome. It all helps you to become what you're going to be as a teacher and a fighter. My kickboxing coach thinks that Kung Fu is useless. He thinks it's bull. He hates it.
Really?
He hates it.
We're going to divert just a little bit. Why does he feel that way?
I think you've told me this story
because all the
before.
guys that he's ever moved with that do Kung Fu are just like, you ever see who's that big Chinese dude who smacks the shit out of all the Kung Fu dudes?
Xu Xiaodong.
Yeah.
Right. All these guys wear their pajamas and they do their forms. And they've never been punched in the face. And that is the biggest problem with Chinese martial arts. You got guys, so my brother, Sifu Greg Zil, like that fool, he can scrap.
Oh, trust me, we know. We
We've
do
been to a
stuff
few of
with
his seminars.
we do stuff with Shifu Greg.
Let me tell you about Greg. When we were kids, and I didn't even know this fool, he would come out like double, triple, Lindy spinning, flying things, land, kneeling, and be like, my name is, and he'd like go through the whole thing, and he'd come back, and he's like flying through the air, and I would come out and be like, what's up? Not flipping. I don't even remember my, but that guy's pretty good. You should give him a trophy. Dude, I always loved Greg. He was like, I don't remember. I must have seen his whole gym perform a million times, and he just always stood out to me. You know what I'm saying? He was always like the brightest out of the bunch, for his performance and like his just everything. And you meet a guy like that and you think he's probably a dick, but he's like the coolest dude you'll ever meet.
Yeah, he's got a good spirit.
Me and him, I remember
He actually called me this morning.
I had something happen to me, and I was like super sad. Someone died, and I was just real depressed. And he rolled up at his wife and his kids. He sees me, and he's like, he calls me like Bubba or something. He's always like, "What's up, Bubba?" And he gives me a hug, and I'm just kind of like, I looked like I was crying. He's like, "What's wrong?" And I kind of started crying. And he's like, tells his wife, he's like, "Yo, just go home. I'll get home another way." And he hung out, and just my friends didn't even care. My friends that I called like my friends, like my homies, like the guys that would like call me up, "Yo, these guys are gonna jump me," driving from Lindenhurst to New York City, jumping out of the truck, pop, 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 just lacing them, dropping people. Who's next? Those guys could care less. Greg was just a training brother that I had, we knew from the tournament circuit. And ever since then, it's just always was like, he's just the man, dude.
That's good.
I have so much. I love that dude so much. He's like, me and him, like when Cedro died, like I called him and I was just like, I couldn't come up. I had just moved here. I didn't have a job. I had no money. I could not make the funeral. And I was devastated. I couldn't be there. And it's like, but he always calls. I always talk to him. He helps, he's always just a good person to talk to, good person to mess with and train around with. He's phenomenal. He inspires me. He inspired a lot of people. I just see them move and I'm like, but I see him move and he's just like,
yeah, he's got the swag. He's got the juice for real.
He's dope.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely, I mean.
There's like, there's a lot of great schools in New York. There's, really see any schools in LA. I didn't really mess with anybody. My friend Giuseppe has a school in San Diego, like Encinitas, like West Coast martial arts. Like Giuseppe is he's got a brother Enzo, my bad. And those dudes they like to train and they do like kung fu and karate and kickboxing and stick fighting. And it's you get guys who they do a million things, but they just kind of suck at all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not those guys. Those guys train in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I remember moving with Giuseppe and he got me. I was like, oh, that was crafty. I never messed with Enzo. I'm very intrigued by Enzo because Giuseppe keeps telling me Enzo is better than him. And I think Giuseppe's fantastic. So I would love to see just mess with him and just pick his brain.
So you kind of answered this, but I kind of want to, I guess, get a more pointed answer. So how has martial arts affected you mentally? Because everything that you're saying, I kind of pick up that it's done a lot for you.
It's given me a real family.
Mm.
All over. I got Giuseppe, in San Diego, and I got this dude Fenton Fong, who has a Fujao Pai school up in Arcadia, and I have all Sifu Kellerman and Sifu Zilb and my coach, obviously my coach, and I got to meet Cedro Creighton and all of his guys and my guys, and it's you just got a family, people that will call you because they care. Most people, all they care about is themselves.
Right.
You get these guys that sincerely, care how you're doing, what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I got my homie Ivan. I love talking to him. He reminds me of I hope he doesn't watch this because he'll be mad. But he reminds me of the guy from The Wedding Singer. The guy who's he's losing his mind and I'm reaping all the rewards.
Wow, man.
That's what he reminds me of. I mean, my one student looks like McLovin.
Trevor looks like McLovin.
No,
I did at one point.
No, he looks like him.
No. Let me show you older pictures of Trevor. We'll have to, maybe we can splice one in
Junior
here.
high school, yeah.
So you can see what Trevor looked. Trevor truly, he looked like he was McLovin. We actually started calling him McLovin for a little while because he looked just like that guy.
He's still McLovin.
He is.
No, my guy is still McLovin. He's fine. I call him, my phone is McLovin, and my friend Ivan calls him Snitchy because they train together. And when Ivan cancels classes, I call him up. If you look, I screaming at him and stuff. He's like, what did Snitchy tell you again? I'm like, his name is Richie. I call him Snitchy. It's
I
pretty
like
funny.
it. I like it. Okay, so Trevor, do you think martial arts can be considered self-care?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Why? Why do you think that?
I mean, it's people can use it for different things. I mean, self-care is just anything to use and take care of yourself mentally, physically, whatever.
So what are you using it for?
I mean, a little of both. It keeps me fit, whatnot, and keeps the mind right.
Okay. So what about you, Coach?
What's self-care?
I mean, I guess that's a good question.
Is that putting on makeup or moisturizer?
Well, I guess if we want to be broad about it, I guess whatever you need to do in order to function at your highest level.
Just helps me move. I got into an accident like I was telling you before, and I told them from the beginning that there was something wrong with my leg. Before I got into the accident, I went out for my birthday, and I'm friends with this dude Khalil, and he's like pro downhill skater. He's a total psychopath. He takes me to this crazy road, doing 70 miles an hour. I'm literally I thought I was gonna die. You're just hanging off for dear life at that point. You're like, R.I.P. And I got hit by the truck on a Monday, day after Mother's Day. I got hit, and I had a show in Orange County on Thursday, or actually Friday. So I flew out to L.A. I went to my mountain, Tuna Canyon, to go skate, and I just couldn't do it. And I went back and I told the doctors, I said, there's something wrong. They're like, oh, it's a pre-existing condition. I was like, well, pre-existingly, I could do 70 miles an hour. Then I got hit by a truck and now I can't even skate. Something is wrong. And they blew it off and they gave me no money for my injuries. And 2 years later, I have to have someone help me put my shoe on because I can't get my shoe on. So I go to my friend who's a chiropractor who takes an X-ray, and you could see how the joint, like if this is this part of my body, like with the pelvis or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you could see the reveal from where the muscle is and how it gets tighter. I guess up in here or however it's going. I'm not, can't tell from the X-ray, but you can see from big to skinny. So now I have to go to an orthopedic, and it's like I told him I was jammed up, but I went from doing jump, spinning 360 hook kicks to having a hard time just throwing a front kick without being in excruciating pain. But whatever, I don't try to let it bring me down. I hit the bag, I punch the bag, I move, keep moving, practice my monk spade, practice my weapons, just trying to. I do my push-ups. I had to slow down. I was at a point, I was doing 600 push-ups every day, and I saw I would do my declines, and I would have to go down, and my shoulder would be and I was like, that's not really so good, and I just kind of brought it down to 350, 400 push-ups,
Mm-hmm.
I try to do, and I do my weights, and I have I found a bicycle when I was cleaning out the shed, so I have a bicycle that I ride, and we go swimming. So I try to keep all that so I could try to, when I'm in the water, I practice my kicks in the water because there's no weight, there's no resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So I just keep myself moving. Everything to me is always training. Training is the most important thing because the way that I see it and the way that I grew up is the second you slip is the second that someone's going to get you.
Mm.
That's why you'll never see me smile outside. You'll never see me act kind of wild outside, and you'll never see me when I was a bouncer, I could have de-escalated the fights, but I never wanted to because I wanted to hurt him.
Oh, guys, yeah, that's the cool thing about Beato too. He was a bouncer. He's got some crazy stories, but like I said, we're gonna have to bring him back for another episode because I think the bouncer stories are the best. Yeah, we got to let everybody in YouTube land know about some of the bouncer stories you've had, man, because you tell me some crazy stuff that you've been through. But you know what? One thing that I love about you is that you are living proof that if you train good kung fu works. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot more people need to see more martial artists like yourself. They go, yeah, I was a bouncer. Oh, I did this. Yeah, I've been in fights. I use my kung fu. It works. Because like you just said earlier, like you were talking about Shu Xiaodong. Shu Xiaodong is going around, and those you don't know, he's the Asian guy that's going around beating up all the Chinese martial artists, proving that they're fakes. But it sucks if you do kung fu because it puts a bad name on you, but then it's also good because it's also showcasing that there's a lot of people out there who've been kind of getting away with parlor tricks and, like you said, wearing pajamas and not really practicing good fighting skills.
I feel like people care more about a title than their skill.
They do.
That's why people's like, oh, it's like, I ain't Chinese. Don't call me Sifu. I ain't wearing. When I went to my Bai-Si, my Sifu made me wear. I like the Kung Fu pants because they fit nice when you're training.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a Fred Perry on. He's like, you can't wear that. And he made me wear some stupid. I don't want to wear this. I'm not Chinese. I don't need to wear pajamas to show that I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I just want to move. And people if you want to call yourself this and that, and you want to wear the getup, and that's how you feel, and that makes you feel a certain way, then that's cool. I like to listen to music that you could kill people to. Blood for Blood is a very good band that you want to beat people up when you hear it. Some people want to listen to easy listening jazz. I'm not the easy listening jazz guy. I just train because I want to learn to fight. I don't want someone to, everything is always, I learned doing Kung Fu is a lot of it is smoke and mirrors, and they try to bullshit you and put you in some kind of brain coma as they over-explain technique. And my coach would always say, and that's the best part of my coach, he said, if it takes you longer to think about it than to do it, you've already been knocked out. If you practice something 1,000,000 times and you pull it off 10% of the time, then it's a garbage technique and don't waste your time doing it. If you're fighting, it's all reaction. You can't be like, oh, I got hit in the face. What do I do? Someone hits you in the face, you got to hit them right back.
Right.
Which is like I always say, train like you fight and fight like you train. Coach says it all the time. Coach is like, showing us switch kicks one time. Switch. He's like, yeah, And he's like, and you could use it on the street too, right? And it's like, say some guy tries to come up and rob you on the street and he asks for your wallet and you say, oh, okay, I'll give it to you. And you can say you have sand and crushed up glass in your pocket. And I was like,
What?
Coach, who has sand and crushed up glass in that pocket? He goes, who doesn't have sand and crushed up glass in that
Is he a
pocket?
ninja? You know,
He's, bro, he,
ninja vanish.
dude is like, he grew up, he was a pro fighter in the early 80s. He trained with Remy Priest, stick and knife fighting. And he's just, I remember I seen him once in my college and you just see this guy like, bing, 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 moving, doing this thing, whatever. And I was like, Coach? And I was like, what, are you going back to school? He goes, nah. He's like, I'm sitting here working. I said, you're working, you're shadow boxing. He's like, I just got to watch these guys now. I don't work no more. I just watch these guys for the county. He works for the county. I just watch these guys. Oh, okay. Talking, all he thinks about. And he taught it to me. All I think about is how to destroy the human body.
Wow.
If someone comes to me, he always would say to me, you cannot teach ruthlessness. And it's like, you get into a fight with a guy and they're like, oh, I didn't want to do this or I didn't want to do that. Like, if you get into a fight, the way that I look at it is if you put your hands on me, either I'm going to get knocked out or I'm going to win. But I'm not going to go down without a fight. And it's like, I've just done it so much, it's like, I don't want to sound like some arrogant dumb who's like, I'm so freaking great and blah, blah, blah. But I just did it every day. I did it every day, dude. Like, I started when I was 10 and I'm 55 years old and I just do it every day. Even I had the bag and I just hit and I move, you know what I'm saying? I do like my push-ups or whatever. I'm always trying to think about something. And it's like, before I moved to California in 2014, like, every day was fighting, When I was in karate, all I wanted to do was fight. When I got into kung fu, all I wanted to do was fight. When I got in with Mike Prella and Gus, all I wanted to do was fight. You know what I'm saying? When I got into the kickboxing gym, all I wanted to do was fight. And it's like, it's all I wanted to do. I was never like, they're like, hey, you want to go in the ring? Nah. I was like, yeah. Because to me, I remember Prella would be like, oh, these guys are so great. Their kung fu is fantastic. And I'd be like, well, can they fight? And he goes, well, what does that matter? I said, would you buy a car without a motor? He's like, you sound like an idiot. I'm like, well, a car without a motor is useless, and kung fu without application is useless. So why would I want to learn a form and not learn how to apply it? If I can't apply it, then what's the point of having it? I'm not training to be a dancer.
Right.
I'm training because I want to learn how to fight. I'm training because I'm getting kicked out of me in my house. I walk out I go to the woods to hang out, to be alone, and someone shows up and I get kicked out of me in the woods. I go to behind the school, I get kicked out of me behind the school. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting beat up everywhere I go. So if I want to dance, I'll take a ballet class.
Right.
And that's how it was. People look at Long Island, they go, oh, Long Island is no, bro. You got guys that like chop people up and eat you in Long Island. Maybe in Brooklyn, guys will walk up and smoke you with a gun, but any retard can shoot a gun. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot to learn how to fight. It takes a lot for the way we grew up. My chiropractor, his older brother, I grew up with a chiropractor in New York. The guy who took the thing in my hip. His older brother was this kid, Ricky Hansen. Right? Ricky Hansen was with my friend Jason's sister, who was actually a real model, not an Instagram model, like was in, Cosmopolitan. You know what I'm saying? So they're walking through the woods at night, going to a party in the woods, and this dude attacked Ricky with a screwdriver and stabbed him in the leg. Ricky took the screwdriver out of his leg and stabbed the guy who stabbed him with the screwdriver in his leg.
That's gangster.
Ricky was my hero. That's who I looked up to. These are the people I looked up to. That's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be that ruthless. I wanted to be that vicious of a fighter. Like where you could hurt me and I would just not even care. And I trained every day. And the people who I trained with, especially like my coach, would push me to be better. Gus was like, oh, you're going to have a fight. Well, who am I going to train with? Train by yourself. So he would throw me into all these tournaments with, ill prepared. If you don't do it every day, how do you learn how to compete? You look at someone like Greg Zilb or like Joe's son, Little George. These guys were maniacs in the scene. I don't want to fight those guys. In the streets, a different story. In the tournament world, these guys like bing, bang, boom, you're knocked out quick. And maybe you wouldn't even probably be terrible in the street too. Those guys were serious. And, I would just find other people. I dated a girl who did taekwondo. I'd go to her school and fight with her guys. One of my friends, he was a Guido. You know what a Guido is?
No.
Oh my God, you gotta watch. He's like, hey, forget about it. My name is Vinny.
Oh.
The slick back guy. So we had this giant muscle-bound Guido, and he trained in American combat. And he would take me to his gym, and all these guys, these guys are like, hey, we're gonna go to the bar tonight and beat up drunk people. That's who the American combat guys were. And these were the guys I would go train with some of these guys. I was lucky to be able to meet some of these people, and train and learn, And I remember, so my friend did Bagua, and then one of my forms had, a couple of my forms have the Bagua stepping.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing it wrong. And he's like, oh, you got to keep your knees together and walk and point your foot. And he told me that lesson in like 1995. So I remember I was like teaching the form, and I'm telling my students, I was like, yeah, and you got to come to how you walk. I said, yeah, John Page taught me this, 1995. And they're like, of course you remember something from 1995. I can't remember 20 minutes ago, but I could tell you what happened when I was a kid in the second grade when I bought my first Kung Fu magazine in a subway stop going to see the Christmas musical with my class. And I was like, Inside Kung Fu. And I was the first Kung Fu magazine I bought.
That's kind of cool.
In Penn Station.
Yeah, we went to Penn Station recently this year.
It's not the same.
I hear stories about the classic Penn Station, but I mean, for us never being there, like our first, time going there, it was pretty amazing. I was shocked. I didn't know it was like that.
That was my first time in New York, period.
I used to skate through that traffic like a psychopath.
Man, I don't know how you did it.
Man,
like a psycho, bro. I would cut through cars.
I
was teaching her about threading the needle. We were going up a mountain at 90 miles an hour, and there was a car and there was a tanker, and I'm like, whoa, and she's like, what are you doing?
Nope.
I'm like threading the needle.
That traffic up in New York is different. I don't know how you did that.
There's a flow. Everything has a flow. Everything has a life. You catch the flow. You catch the lights. I remember I broke my leg skateboarding, and I remember I just got out of the cast, and it was they call it the mini bomb. It was from like 118th to Union Square, and I'm skating. My one friend was like, oh man, you're like 10 years older than me. I should be able to be faster than you. And he was all mad. He's like, I'm going to beat you today. And I was like, no, you're not. And everybody was crushing me. They were killing me, dude, because my leg was so swollen. And I'm pushing, and I'm like, this sucks, dude. I'm just pushing and trying to keep up. And I remember the light. We were crossing over, like, I think there's like by Central Park, going through the park. I think it's like 72nd or something. And it's like a 4-lane traffic. So traffic going in both ways, if I'm remembering correctly. And I go through that, and the light is red for us, and it's green for the traffic. Sorry. So they're going. And I see the kid looking at me, and I'm just pushing. And I'm like, I'm not stopping. And I see the cars coming, and I angle in between the cars and just go right into the park as the traffic is going. And I just hear my friend go, no! He was so mad, bro. But the whole thing is to learn the flow of the traffic. I did the last Broadway bomb I did. I was 40, 45, I think, or 46. And out of probably about 2,000 people, I finished like somewhere in the 20s.
Yeah, and that's where you get all those skaters and stuff, and like you're racing from one point to the next, right?
Race from Harlem all the way to the boat.
Right. So okay, gotcha. Yeah, I remember you told me about that.
I remember seeing like some guy, I'm skating, and I see the car. I'm like, this kid's gonna get hit. The kid got hit. He got hung up on the car. The car dragged him down the road.
Oh.
I was like, if we're in racing, I'd stop and help you. Sorry, bro.
So last question. Do you think martial arts can help people who suffer from other forms of mental health issues? So I want to chime in on that, just because of my job background and what I do. So, working for the Board of Disabilities, we actually had a program with the local martial arts school, not mine, but they would have our clients and consumers go there and do martial arts, and they absolutely loved it. They would be able to, they were learning like kata and pumse. I don't know if they did any sparring or anything like that, but I mean, they were able to earn rank and things of that nature. And it was so interesting to see some of my guys. They would see me, and some of them found out I did martial arts, and they were just so proud to be like, "Oh, well, I'm a black belt." I'm like, "Okay, well, good," or I'm a this belt or this belt. And I'm just like, okay, fine. So I enjoyed the fact that it gave them confidence, because one thing that I've learned just doing my job. You know, somebody who has a disability, they already have a lot of things sometimes going against them in life. And anything that you can do to help enrich that person and make them better. And I think martial arts definitely has helped, especially that population, you know, definitely just gain confidence and just learn social skills and just, you know, do a lot of different things, man. And so it's so cool. And especially that now you're starting to see a lot of schools have programs with for kids with autism. You know, one thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to have a ladies self-protection class here. We do, but you know, people who maybe been attacked, we want to be able to help those people learn self-protection skills. Hey, be able to go out in the street and you feel confident. You don't have to be scared all the time. You know, it's a dangerous place. Like you were telling the kids earlier today, you said that the world's not a nice place, and you're right. It's not a nice place, and you got to be able to survive. And your kung fu's got to work for you. Otherwise, like you said, you're dancing.
But it doesn't work if you practice. If you go to a self-defense class for 8 weeks and practice for 8 weeks and get your certificate and walk out the door, and you don't even think about it again, it's garbage.
Yeah, right. No, you have to be
It's
consistent.
diligence.
You have to be consistent. And what happens to a lot of people who sometimes, you know, they host these seminars and they're good. I'm not saying they're not good, but one thing that I always try to tell the students that come to the self-protection class when they come, hey, you need to find a school. You need to be training all the time. Don't just think like you learn a few moves and you got it. That's not it. This is just like this is a springboard for you. Find a good school and continue to practice. But what happens to a lot of people is they don't want to listen and they don't want to be consistent. You know, I know martial arts is something that either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it, period. It's one or the other. You know, you have too many people who sometimes, you know, don't put the time and effort in to be good at it, like you said earlier. And I think if more people did that, they would probably appreciate the martial arts more. But anyway, I can keep rambling. Trevor, to you. So do you think martial arts can help people who suffer from different things like depression, anxiety,
I mean, you already
mental
kind of
health?
hit on the head with it with some of the stuff that's already listed there, like, you know, abuse and assault survivors. You're doing that ladies protection class, so obviously they're getting something out of it that's going to help them in the long run. Like you said, with adults with autism disabilities, you know, you work with people within that demographic, and you said there was a program and whatnot that did that. But same thing, like children with behavioral issues. We've had plenty of kids come in here with those type of things, and you know, teaching them discipline and whatnot, and ways to be able to help them.
You actually had to discipline one of our children today.
Yes, I did.
Do you want to tell that story and maybe how you helped that young man today?
This kid's been having issues just with controlling his anger and emotions, and I sat and talked with him a little bit. We worked on some things, and then kind of talked with him a little bit again later on after his parents. Mike, you were in on that too. Just, you know, telling him, you know, it's all about choice.
It is, and I think one thing martial arts did for me mentally too, it helped my decision making. I used to make a lot of dumb decisions, and I guess getting punched in the face and kicked in the face and thrown around after a while, you start being smarter. I don't know, or maybe it's just the concussions finally, you know, catching up to me.
Catching up.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But you know, I my decision making is a lot better, and I'm wiser about things. And I think now that, you know, when I get into a situation, you know, no matter what kind of situation it is, whether it be good or bad, you know, I don't know. I just feel like I think on a different level now about certain things. Mike, what do you think about that?
I think anything with a discipline, like, you know, like I talk about like the skateboarding and the music, it's all the same. All Kung Fu means is it's a skill. It's an acquired skill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you have, like, say, like, maybe you don't want to kick and punch. Maybe you want to play music. Maybe you want to play classical music. Maybe you want to ride a skateboard. Rodney Mullen said he didn't speak for the first however many years of his life, and he communicated with his skateboard. That was his communication.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever seen Rodney Mullen skate, I mean, the dude is, the guy was like a freak. He was like how Tony Hawk was with all of his vert and flips and all the crazy stuff he did. Rodney Mullen did it all on the floor. He was wild, and he would just say, like, that was his voice. Martial arts is my voice as well as my music or my skateboarding. You know, my friends have seen me go headfirst into a guardrail because someone cut me off, or like one dude fell off his board and his board cut in front of mine, and I'm talking 50 miles an hour head first into a guardrail and just shake it off and just keep going. And they're just like, you know what I'm saying? It's all discipline. It's all anything with a discipline can help someone. It teaches them to focus. It teaches them to channel their energy. If they're upset, if they're whatever, you just write. You know, you write. I wrote a million songs. You know, for my band. I wrote words. I wrote songs. I wrote. You know, my daughter likes to paint. You know, but honestly, to be honest, 100% legit honest, when I left New York, one of my friends was like, "Yo, you moving to California?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I just want you to know something." I said, "What?" He goes, "People don't like you. They think you're a terrible person and they're scared of you. Take that with you to California." You know, beat up a lot of people, hurt a lot of people, beat up a lot of people in the bar. You know what I'm saying? Get punched in the face, smash some guy's head off the door. Their friends jump in, everybody gets beat up. You know, people go, "Oh, I'm going to teach you a seminar on how to fight multiple people." It's all bull. You can't teach someone to fight multiple people. You know what I'm saying? You have to have that type of, you have to have a level, even if they don't even know how to fight, dude. If you have a bunch of guys coming at you, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys coming at you, you have to be able to take them out quick. And you have to have that type of ruthlessness to hurt somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same. It's like when you skate down a mountain, when you're coming into a turn and you're doing 45, 50 miles an hour, and you're like, well, if I don't make it, I'm dead. You know what I'm saying? When you're on stage, you know, we played this place called Poor Kids Mansion. There was like 2,000 people or more during the COVID nonsense. My guitar player's like, we're not going to play any of those stupid COVID shows. That's low-lying fruit. And I went to this place called Gravan's Skate Park. One band played Neighborhood Watch, and all the other ones were trash. And there was like 3,000 people going berserk, blowing stuff up, people skateboarding in the pools while they're in, which also were the mosh pits. And I just took a video. I said, "You don't want to play these shows? Are you kidding me?" So we got on some shows to play these packed out venues and stuff, packed out. If it was a warehouse or Poor Kids Mansion's like a giant backyard. There was 2,000 people. We got to play 4 songs with a helicopter over us trying to shut us down with downtown LA off to the corner. It was so cool. It's my California dream, you know? But what the whole thing is like, you know, do I want to be the guy that people don't like? Or do I want to be the guy that people like? I try to be the guy that people like. But the guy that people don't like is like, he's like just there, just waiting to come out. He's like, I feel him all the time. You know, I have a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff is people are really testing my good nature. And I'm like one bad day away from hurting a lot of people, and I don't want to hurt them. I think about, I want to kill them. I want to just keep punching them in the face until they don't have a face anymore. Bang their head off or whatever I can until their head falls off. It's a lot. It's a lot to hold in. It's a lot to fight.
Wow.
That's why I do it. It's hard, man. Life is hard, and it's all choices. I could choose to hurt the people that are making me mad. I could choose to hurt the people that are trying to instigate me. I could give into it. It would feel so good. It feels really good to hurt people, especially if you don't like them, especially if they put their hands on you and you want to teach them a lesson, like this Mexican fool one time was like, "You think you know how to box? Show me what you know." And I was like, okay, we're on the job. We're on the job. And this guy's like, and he's like, and he slaps me in the face like I was his girlfriend or something. I said, "Oh, we're connected." Ba-bang! Round kick. His head goes up. Open hand, hit him in the face. Like crushed his nose, like just pissing blood out of his face. I was like, "Oh man, maybe you should lay off the cocaine, homie." And then his friend starts tripping, running his mouth. And I'm just like, "Come on, let's go, fool." Like, you know, I got fired. You know what my boss said to me? He goes, "You know, that guy in Mexico was a boxer." I said, "Oh, really?" So, you know, when I was in New York, I was taller. He goes, "Well, what does that mean?" I said, "Well, everybody seems to be something someplace else. And if I was going to be anything anyplace else, maybe I'd like to be taller." Everyone's full of shit. "Oh, I'm a boxer." Whatever, dude. You should get money back. You suck. People are all
Crazy,
jokes.
man.
Everybody's gangster until it's time to be gangster. Everyone wants to throw hands, so it's time to throw hands.
Now that's true.
Everyone's
Very true.
screaming, "Defund the police and fuck the cops," until you get knocked out. And everyone's like, "Call the police. He's crazy."
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? I'll never call the police.
That is definitely true.
Me and the kid were walking into a 7-Eleven and someone started shooting at us. It just I just walk into the rock, but they weren't at us in our direction.
Was
At
this
the
in
store.
California?
This isn't Charlotte. And I just put her in front of me, and she's like, "Daddy, I'm scared." I said, "He's just throwing firecrackers, little girl. It's all right. He's just playing. He's just playing. Daddy's here. Don't worry, little girl. I got you. I got you, little girl." Terrifying. If it was me by myself, I was in Venice going to do pull-ups at the sandbox. After, I go at night when all the tourists aren't there, and I didn't know what banging on someone was. Like, I'm not a gangbanger. And this fool was like, "Where you from, homie?" I was like, "Oh, New York City. Where you from, homie?" And he was like, "Venice." I'm just like looking down the gun. I kind of like cock my head back and turn to the side, and I just go to smash this fool. I could smell that weed and I could smell the alcohol. Gotta be faster than him. My nephew jumps in, yo. My brother's in V13. Chill. And the guy's like, "Oh, we're cool." I was like, "Nah, we're not cool." He's like, "Don't press the line, homie." I was like, "I'm not the one hiding behind a gun." You know what I'm saying? Like, people are cowards. They'd rather pull, it's easy to pull a gun. Any monkey can pull a gun. Can you pull the trigger? You know what I'm saying? The only reason why I haven't killed anybody is because people have pulled me off. The people I was beating up, smashing heads off the curbs and jamming my fingers in someone's eye sockets and slamming them off of stuff and stomping on heads. Like, I just don't care, dude. When you hit that place, it's like that's the ruthlessness that my coach is talking about. That's what you got to reel in. That's what I fight every day, because that's the guy that my friend said nobody likes. Even if they put their hands on me first, I'm still the bad guy, because I didn't just let them hit the floor and walk away. I just keep hitting them, and it's like, I'm training my whole life. It's like a mechanic, people go, or a musician, you watch Joe Satriani play, or these guys that are like monster players. They ain't even looking at the fret, but they're looking, and you're just like, how is that guy doing that? I would be like looking at my board, trying to do it. These guys aren't even looking. They're not even phased. But that's how it is when we train every day. You train and you fight. And then if someone on the street happens to, take a number, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's like, but all this stuff is the same. All this stuff helps you. It's like sometimes I was able to walk away, but I don't feel good when I walk away. Then I beat myself up. I make myself sick. That guy thinks I'm a. That guy thinks he got over on me. That guy thinks I'm a. I should have killed that guy. I should have tore his head off. And I have this whole internal dialogue with myself, beating myself up. So I have to try to just do my form, hit the bag, just try to feel better, try to push that negativity out of my head, because that's the stuff that eats you alive, and it's hard. And it's like, the form, like I do the Milan, it's a lot of breathing, and it's a lot of like, you open up, it's a lot of big moves, it helps, like you feel better after you do it. It's like, it's all a correlation. If I can't train, like say it's really hot in North Carolina compared to say like in Malibu, it's like maybe 70 degrees all the time, so I play my guitar. I just run scales, just try to run it faster, just running scales, trying to do whatever I can to try to find that discipline to I guess push away all the negativity.
Right.
Because it's easy to get mad. It's easy to fester in it, and like I could drive, I don't know about you, but I could drive myself insane.
Oh, I think anybody could. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're doing this topic, because I think martial arts does help people with mental health. And I think everybody here at this panel and table today has proven that, this is something that can definitely keep you from doing something crazy. Not only can it teach you skills to protect yourself, but it could also teach you, hey, look, maybe I don't need to go this way or deal with this guy or, this group of people or this decision making or this job or whatever. We have so many decisions that we have to make in our lives, but, martial arts can just, flow into so many things. And it's so funny because this conversation, Mike, I don't know if you realize that a lot of things that you touched on are already topics that we've talked about. Consistency. And check out these podcasts as I, go through these things, because you can find them on our YouTube channel. But we've talked about consistency. We talked about how martial arts affects you outside of your life. We talked about what is a Sifu. You talked about all that. And it's so crazy. You talked about tournaments. We talked about that too. So all these things is just like coming full circle. So I mean, it's just great to kind of hear somebody who truly a martial artist talk about all these things that we're talking about on the podcast before, and it's just coming out naturally. So, these are all things that martial arts can do for you. I think martial arts has done this for you, and we really appreciate you being on the show. And guys, we're going to bring Mike back because Mike's got the best stories. And like I said,
He does.
And I just want to say thank you again, because not only that, Coach comes in, he teaches my kids, he teaches the adults, he brings a certain energy, and we love when he comes by. And Mike, I want to tell you on camera in front of all these people from the world that whoever said you were a bad guy, they're liars. They suck, all right? You're one of the best people I've ever met. You're a good dude, man, and don't let anybody tell you that you're horrible, because you're not.
Yeah.
You have a heart of gold. You're a good man. Your daughter's awesome. You do what you need to do, and we've watched you, and you come in here and you show good character. And me personally, I would go to war with you 100 times out of 100, because I know you got my back, and you got a friend in me, man. Me and Trevor, and
You
anybody
family,
at the
bro.
Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu.
I appreciate it.
Hey, man, no, for real. So,
Thanks, Father.
yeah, man.
Next time, let's go to the top so we don't jam up the microphones.
So, guys, please like, share, subscribe. Martial Mentality. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu, Facebook, Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu, and we're checking out. Peace.